Today, I'm talking about a guide to overcome buying affection in your relationships. And I'm talking about any kind of relationship, including romantic, relationship with your family, friends, coworkers, anything like that. So, we all know that giving for the wrong reasons in any situation can be detrimental to your self esteem. Even though I know some people's love language can be gifts, and we want to give based on, we want to show our love based on our language of love. And if your language is gifts, then I understand that there's giving, but there's also that over giving, right? Where it becomes detrimental to your self esteem. So, but studies show that women in particular give and give and give and receive very little in return. So it's easy to fall into the habit of buying affection, but there are better ways to make your relationship run smoothly. I'm going to be sharing some basic guidelines for relating to others in a healthier way so your inequalities speak more loudly than your bank account. Do in some cases, you find yourself attracting people, whether it's your family or the people that you're dating, that, just want to exploit you. Like I said, it can be family, friends. You attract these people who are always after asking you for money or asking you for things, where you end up being the person who's giving and giving and giving, and nobody gives you back, in return. And so you need to take a moment to like evaluate your relationships that you have and figure out if you're that person who's always giving and nobody gives you back in return. And sometimes we do give, though, because we feel like we want to get something in return, and most often that backfires. And overgiving can lead to a sense of entitlement as well, where you say, I gave this to you, so now you owe me. So here are some warning signs that you're buying affection and it's becoming a problem for you. You continue to feel emotionally empty after giving. Oh, you give and you give and you're trying to buy affection and you feel emotionally empty. And you feel alone in those relationships, whether it's a romantic or, with your family. You give because you want to buy their affection, buy their love. And at the end of the day, you still feel alone. If you're in a romantic relationship and you give, you're buying affection, and you feel your partner will leave you or won't love you if you don't buy them things, that is a sign that you're buying affection. And sometimes we use gifts instead of really communicating what we want to communicate. If you want to say sorry to somebody, have the conversation and say sorry. Don't just buy them something and hope that's a way of you saying sorry. And I realize, again, we're talking about people who, there might be some people with gifts as their love language. And I know some people use that love language to communicate that they're sorry. But I feel like it's more powerful if you actually say sorry. You can still buy the gift and have the conversation with someone and say sorry. I've heard many women who are in relationships where, or even, many men in relationships where if you have a fight with your partner and, you fight ugly, and then the next day they bring you flowers. And it's like you use flowers to, instead of having the conversation of like, I'm sorry for what I said, I'm owning what I said. And you use these gifts as a way to apologize. I think that's not good. I think you need to have the conversation, and having a conversation actually makes way for improvement, makes way for accountability of like, hey, you say this to me before and you keep doing it, versus when you just buy something and you're kind of putting a band-aid on it, but you're not really treating the wound, right? So having a conversation, words go further distance than you having to buy affection to your partner or to whoever it is that you're trying to buy affection with. So here are some basic guidelines for overcoming the urge to buy affection. So let people invest in you. Common sense and clinical studies show that people value each other more when they put their own time and resources into building a connection. So allow for give and take always. And identify what you may be compensating for. Sometimes, you need to ask yourself if you're using money to substitute for time and emotions. I think about, if a dad who works too much or too, in long hours, and when they come home to apologize to their kids, they bring them gifts. Like, what are you substituting for when you're buying your loved ones gifts? And also examine control issues, right? Some people equate power with money. Positive and respectful interactions reduce the dangers of feeling obligated or manipulated. Review your conditioning. This is the way that we were brought up, and it has a big impact on our lives. So spotting some of those patterns like excessive spending is the first step in changing those patterns that we were brought up with, some of those things that we are conditioned to. So when you do go and you're in a romantic relationship, here are some suggestions that you can do to overcome buying affection. So take turns treating each other. You may be one of those people who always reach for the bill. Try giving your date a chance to play host or something like that on a date. What I love about that too is if, you should be flexible in case like your financial capabilities are different. You should take turns to plan your dates. Okay, let me start this over. So here are some suggestions for your romantic life in terms of overcoming the urge to buy affection. One way to do that is to take turns treating each other. You may be one of those people who always reach for the dinner bill. Try giving your date the chance to play host on some of your dates. And be flexible. If you and your partner have different financial capabilities, one way to do it is to take turns to plan the dates so that each person can plan based on their financial capability. And then accept gifts and favors. It's okay to do that. So learn to accept the kindness of others graciously. Giving feels good, and so should receiving. Set some limits. Generosity is an endearing quality. Just ensure that you give for wholesome reasons and that your partner appreciates you. Speak to their love language. Sometimes you don't even have to spend money to show love. So I hope these were helpful to you. So to offset this inclination of buying affection, start thinking in terms of what you are doing and why you're doing it. Some honest introspection can do some good for you. Set limits for yourself, especially if gifts is one of your love languages. You deserve to be valued for who you are and for you to value those for who they are. It's delightful to exchange gifts and favors with those you love, but set some healthy limits. In the long run, you will strengthen your connections and enable everyone to share in the joy of giving. So I hope what I've shared with you are helpful tips on, guiding you through I hope what I've shared with you are some steps that you can use to overcome the urge to buy affection. So to offset this inclination of buying affection, start by thinking in terms of what you are doing and why you're doing it. Why am I buying this for this person? Why do I keep buying them gifts? What is the why? What is my why? And some honest introspection can do some good. Set limits for yourself, especially if gifts is one of your love languages. You deserve to be valued for who you are. It's delightful to exchange gifts and favors with those you love. But honestly, setting healthy limits is important. And in the long run, you will strengthen your connections and enable everyone to share in the joy of giving. Love always.